All right. Welcome in, welcome in.
Waiting to see if Dave's able to join us. He is currently in Florida and they are in imminent danger of getting very wet. Oh, there he is.
That is the current situation. I can concur.
Also,
As I look outside my window.
Also, Glenn was supposed to join, but Glenn needs a moment because he's picking up the kids.
Hey, everybody.
Where's your raincoat?
It's sitting over there on the chair drying off. All right. Link. Agenda. All right, there's a link to the agenda. If you have not done so already, please mark your presence. We'll get started. Let's get started right now. It's 3 after. All right. First and foremost, is there anyone new who would like to introduce themselves? It's like familiar faces. That's cool. If anyone, as always, would like to help take notes, I'll do the best that I can to get the information here, but please feel free to change or add anything I put in if I mishear something or you'd like to put some additional context in there. If anyone has any additional agenda items that they would like to talk about, please add them to the bottom of the list. The first thing we're going to start off with today is some follow-ups from action items from the last meeting. So the first one is Randall. Randall, you wanted to wait for the GraphDB schema before we proceeded with this, whatever this was. Sorry about that. This is the section 1 goal about creating a curriculum framework. And you hope to have more information available by today. Do you have anything you'd like to share?
Yes, I've put a lot of it into the section 2 plan. And we had kind of a long talk about it in the previous call with Saul. And yeah, I'm not at a computer right now, but I will be in a few moments. If I can send a link somewhere, but it's in the PR. A lot of it is in the PR that's in there for section 2.
Yeah, let me see if I can pull up the link.
The main thing that we discussed though was about the need for open data, which might be another line item in there. I'm not 100% sure.
It is. Glenn and I talked about that briefly. That's the reusable column.
Yes, we also talked about that moments ago. Saul, do you want to fill everyone in on our conversation about that?
Yeah, so on the call right before this, we were running into the issue of, yeah, a lot of these are great courses and they're openly available to use, and yet, right, the Google, IBM things, we still have not confirmed those partnerships. So all I've done is go in and stated which ones are fully open, right, LF, OWASP, and then unfortunately, as we already knew, nothing else is. So the next steps with that I think would be essential is some of the actions that we came out of this last call, it turned into a bit of a discussion about genuinely just how do we get all of this coming together. So we are going to get a sort of basic architecture diagram of what the SKO sort of platform is going to look like on the back end, and also get a data structure requirement put together, a very basic draft of that. And then use that as we're onboarding the LF certification course. And take that document. We need that document before we can start really strategically reaching out to those partnerships. But those are going to be the next steps. As soon as we have that document in a way that we're comfortable with, I think then we should reach out. But as we're submitting this plan, I think it would be just fine in the gaps analysis to include those resources and include it as partnership pending, right? Cool.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, thank you very much for that. I try to grab a little bit of it, but again, if there's anything I missed, please feel free to add it. So is it fair for me to say that based on all that information, that this is something that's going to be covered in section 2, we do not need to worry about it in section 1?
This is kind of that whole discussion about where the librarian goes, because it kind of depends, but kind of, because like, yeah.
Like where the librarian exists in the plan is irrelevant, Randall.
It's all gonna smash
I
together.
could shove it in section 5 if I wanted to. It's just we need to make sure that we thought this group felt it was important to hire someone to help manage the content going forward. We just need to make sure that's documented.
Yeah.
So let me adjust my statement a bit. Is it fair to say that you've got this stuff covered in section 2 and this group in section 1 doesn't need to worry about it right now?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Fair.
Thank you. The second thing that we had was writing up a primer for how to use the categories in the matrix materials spreadsheet. And Sal, Randall, and Eric, we're going to take a look at that. Any updates you'd like to share with the group?
Yeah, so ultimately we fixed up the spreadsheet, I think enough to not need to have the onboarding document, and it's halfway done now. So call it done. Work is getting done.
Okay.
What is not done though, we still need, so I will go through and finish up. Judy, you've done so much work on that spreadsheet and now someone else needs to take it over. Yeah, I'm going to go through and try to catch at least as much of those last ones as I can over the next couple of days with my lovely vacation time. What a fun way to spend it. Actually, I am going to enjoy it because some of those courses are cool and I've been looking into them. So I will go through and finish that up. And then what we really need to get done, I think, in this group is finish up the written gap analysis is our highest priority following that. So if we
Do
want
we
to
have a
put,
milestone for the actual conducting the gap analysis, Dave?
You
That's-
do, yes.
yeah,
Okay.
what's our deadline for that again? I was going to say it was mid-November, correct?
Let me see. I'll just open the plan, see what magical secrets it will share with us. We had Q1 2023 for the that's a survey. Pardon me, my bad. I misspoke. Review and secure development materials from following sources is Q4 2022. The gap analysis is part of milestone number 4. So the milestone number 4 was Q1 of 2023.
Q2 2023.
Yeah, Q1 2023.
Okay.
So we had this quarter, Q4 of 22, to get the materials into the spreadsheet, including specifically looking at areas like Linux Foundation, OWASP, some other member organizations. And then once we had all that information, we were going to, figure out the whole what's missing to the gap analysis and figure out what the next steps were.
Yeah.
Not to say we can't start that now, as soon as the materials are in. If we know the materials are as good as they're going to get for now, we can certainly move this up. That was just a high level deadline.
Yeah, I mean, we might be able to move this up because I was overly optimistic that there would be more available than there is, and now I'm just sad, but it's a good opportunity to make new content. So I think M1 here is almost.
Well, and we also have the opportunity, if we can see the content, we potentially could develop our own if we feel the topic was useful, but that is much more labor intensive than
Yes.
open sourcing it.
But again, I said this on the last call. if there is a wheel, do your best to get that wheel. Don't recreate it.
right. Right. I'll agree
Also,
on
one
that.
thing I wanted to point out that David also created an GitHub issue because he was also concerned that he didn't see any education for like managers or K-12. Yeah, so that would be easy, I guess, because I also didn't found it. Only Trend Micro, but again, it's free, but it's not open data. But yeah, so that should, I think, can already be added to the gap analysis as well. That there currently isn't. It seems like.
Yeah.
Let's see that. 35. Thank you, Crow. I'll throw the link right there.
Yeah.
All right.
There's only 6 things that need to be reviewed left in this. So yeah, I'll go getting that finished up this week. And then where do we want the gap analysis to live, as a Google Doc or as a GitHub thing? I think this one makes sense as Google Doc. So I will put that together and link it back in as soon as it exists. and ask
I'm
for
fine with
some-
Google Doc.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a good place for, as far as collaborating and stuff. I think Google Docs is a good place to start.
Yeah, cool.
Any other questions, comments, follow-ups on either of the action items? All right, next bullet here, of course, we just talked about that. Any and all information anyone can find, steal, dig up, discover on another planet, please add to the spreadsheet. And that's gonna be the foundation for all the activities we just talked about. So I will move on.
The question on that, it's the format is locked-ish, right? So
Format
we
is
could send a
locked.
note out to the TAC and solicit additional external contributions.
Yes, pending the data structure requirement template.
Okay.
So
What's the
that's-
approximate ETA on that? End of the
Glenn.
month?
A week.
Yeah.
5.
Yeah.
A week.
Yeah, exactly. We wanted to start working on that when we actually finalize the section 2. We're almost there. So hopefully when we finalize it, we can start with that document, because it's quite crucial also for the quality that we will then get in, right? That we have a good quality gate as well.
Yeah.
So make a task for me that when you are ready, I will send a note to both the TAC and the end user working group, which is right directly after this call that I got roped into helping. They would be very interested in content. They may have additional resources they could share.
And I missed the, when is that data structure supposed to be due?
In a week.
In a week. So that'd be the 17th?
I think. Yeah.
Today's the
Yeah.
10th, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Then yes.
I can do. I can have it out by then.
All right, I got all that noted down. So Crob, you have an action item 1 week from now. Congratulations.
And also, Probe, I did reach out to Jennifer before about this, so she's also prepared on that front.
Well, yeah, I want to see if there's like an all foundation mail, but a lot of people lurk on the TAC list.
Yeah.
And then like the end user group, I think, would be extremely motivated to learn more about what we're doing. So I'd like to rope them in like they roped me.
Yeah.
I did add that as an action
Fair's
item in the
fair.
user group, by the way, Probe, yesterday.
Okay.
All right, so moving on, I want to talk about the plan, the section 1 plan, which is due by December 1st. Fun fact, we have no further meetings between now and December 1st for this section group, since the next one's scheduled for Thanksgiving in the US and it's going to be canceled. So I wanted to talk about issue 32 very briefly. and then talk about where the plan is at and what we're going to do for the next couple of weeks. And of course, if anyone has anything else they'd like to add, we can certainly discuss that as well. So issue 32 was created as far as the duplication of goals in stream 1.5 and 2.4.
We kind of
And-
reached a conclusion of that in the last call,
Okay, and what was that conclusion?
that we will only index English terms inside of SKF or SKG. And we're going to have a GitHub repo with the translations for lexicon or for the glossary terms. And those will just be linked. We won't actually index those. Those will just basically be a separate GitHub repo that we're going to have. And
Yeah.
I was going to add that to the issue and close it later.
Yeah, and just
Okay.
state that it's going to be styled after the CNCF glossary. So we already know what the template is. We already know what that looks like.
Okay, so Randall, you're going to update and close the issue.
Correct.
All right. Do we need to do anything with the section 1, objective 1.5 in our part of the plan?
I don't have it in front of me, but I could check it later. And if there
So-
needs,
1.5 is identify and prioritize training content to be localized. So yeah, I mean, this doesn't change because this isn't natural language
Right.
development. We know it's like the application and the LF security are the two ones that we're putting in first.
But the duplication of so I read 2.4, the PR that has 2.4 in it. You have localization in that section 2. We need to only have it in one area. Personally, I don't care which one it's in as long as we've got it covered. So it's only smushed together at the end.
Yeah, let's remove it from 1.5 because it's an implementation. Now this is something that, I mean, from the way that 1.5 is written, it's very clear that someone intended, I don't know, for like hiring someone to literally go in and translate full pages. My argument against that is that all technical documentation is pretty much written in English. Cannot be maintained.
There are certain learner constituencies that not only prefer their natural language, but
Yeah.
will demand that. So want to give an option.
Yeah, so what works so well, the reason why they're just two different approaches to solving the same problem. One is going in and using a single human body and mind to go in and translate a bunch of pages with their own natural bias towards their own experiences of a language. Or we do this open source and we allow for specific languages to self-identify what's important for them to be translated, right? They'll be having active conversations on the glossary. So it's really easy for us to know what needs more attention or translation based on the conversations that are being had by the community. But I would maybe loop back in with Dave on this 1.5 goal to see if we understand what languages we've prioritized. I think that's good. But at
We
this
also
time,
I
have
would like
kind of-
you, I'd like you to make an issue and send a note to the full SIG asking their consideration because someone felt very strongly about
yeah,
this.
that's
So
exactly.
let's get their vote and have them vote in the issue and we'll knack that or augment it. And if it goes to section 2, that's irrelevant. The placement is, it lands where it lands.
So Glenn, I'm going to ask, I will remove it from section 1. I'm going to ask that if you could please ensure that all the information we've got in section 1 is able to get into section 2 in the right areas. I would appreciate that. Is that something you can do on your side?
Yeah, we can. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right, so it sounds like it's going to be wrapped up. That issue's wrapped up, and it'll be anything. Do you actually need me to put anything out there?
Well, we should vote, have the full SIG provide their opinion. Do they want a person typing or do they want to do it ad hoc or programmatically? Again, I didn't put it in there, but someone felt important enough that it has lived on for the last 5 months in this artifact.
Right.
I don't want to make somebody sad.
So functionally, how do we, I mean, I'm just
sorry.
noob moment. How do we go about ensuring that there's a clear vote? Where do we raise that? Is it
Ask
through the-
people to vote on the issue, put a comment in the issue saying, I would
Just
like
through this
option.
issue. Okay, so we're not creating a new issue and I got it. Okay.
Well, is there an issue on it right now?
There is, yeah. So it's this, I would stick, that's this issue 32, right?
I would suggest we create a new issue so people don't get confused. The question about issue
do.
32 is where is this going to live? But the question at hand that we're looking for the votes on is not that one. So I would
Got it,
create a
yeah.
new issue, state where we're
You can
at.
link
This
to
is
32.
what's that?
You could link to 32 if you want.
Yeah,
If it's
but
useful.
got it now. Now I understand why we're creating a new issue. Will do.
Thank you, Sal. I appreciate it. All right. Anything else about that one? We have a plan for that one. That makes you feel good. All right. If you saw, there were some changes made to our section of the plan, some milestones and some details were put in there by our friendly neighborhood Crow. And so what I'm going to say is, after talking with Crow about this and the fact we have no more meetings with this group, any additional contributions that anybody has, I will go in and I'll get rid of the stuff we talked about earlier, but any contributions anyone has, please submit them as a PR no later than November 23rd. After that, Crow and I are going to go through, we're going to try to fill in the blanks that still exist as best we can. Everyone is welcome to review those things, but at that point, it's pretty much going to be a done deal while Crow takes all 3 sections of the plan and tries to mesh them together into a coherent document, which is not going to be fun. We're going to help do it, but it's not going to be fun anyway. We just have to, some things we need to get as far as formatting and content, make sure we don't have duplications, all that good stuff. But again, anything anybody has about any of the stuff in section 1, put in a PR. We will review it. If we have questions, we'll cover that in Slack or email as needed.
And I'll say this, I would like that similar goal for both of the other plans sections.
Yeah.
I'm in active conversations with Brian Bellendorf, the director of the OpenSSF right now, about how he would like this to be presented up to the TAC and GB. So we may not have to mush it back into one like PDF, but we'll definitely have to make sure that the formatting is consistent. So like we say year 1 or Y1, Y2, year 2. So we make sure we're consistent throughout. So that'll be fun.
That markdown linter also works now too.
Does it? I saw it had a big fat error.
Yeah, it did.
It was emailing me, made me sad. I had to make a new email rule.
I created that error too.
Anytime Crow has to make an email rule, he gets sad.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions or comments about the plan for our section through the end of the month? Cool. Crow, you had an update you wanted to give?
Yeah, just for
1.6 AR?
1.6, there is a group of people within Intel called SARC that they do open source secure development training and education. They're like a center of excellence within our company. They were super excited to talk to me, and I was super excited to talk to them. So they are looking at what they have developed a lot of content that potentially we can leverage, like C and C++, secure coding guides, these types of things that potentially could be either resources or maybe actual training. So they are looking through, we have to talk to our legal department about what we could give away. But they are also, even better, very excited about contributing to this and the best practices working group. So hopefully in the coming weeks and months, we will see some new faces from Intel because again, they have been working with open source software for over 20 years. So they have a lot of maturity in this space, and they're very excited that these groups exist and they want to collaborate with us. So yay, contributions.
That's awesome.
And then the next one, let's whatever the issue ends up being, let's please express your opinion so we can get that adjudicated quickly.
Yes. All right, that is the end of the agenda as it stands right now. Before everyone goes and starts adding some content to the spreadsheet and or the plan, I will ask if anybody has any additional topics that they'd like to discuss today with the group.
Yeah, my last thing, I know section 3 has been falling behind because do you have any idea how many conferences there have been in the last 3 weeks? But I have one whole week off, and this is my like dedicated. I'm like, get Argo to get through CNCF, get this done. So I will be welcoming any comments, sort of discussions, and be a lot more active on the Slack this week.
And I went through and staged the format.
You
for
did, thank you. I
milestones.
love the check boxes.
Yeah, so feel free to modify
And then-
whatever, and if you need to add more details, but the idea is when the plan is done and it's approved, we will make issues for each one of these things to help with tracking. Then we could kind of pull this into a Kanban board and do all kinds of fun stuff.
Cool.
Crow, I'll also I'll loosen up those rules for the markdown. Like there's like the line length and stuff like that. I'll loosen all that up.
Don't try and put Crow in a box. It doesn't work.
If it had more useful errors too, that would be nice. It just says linter error. I'm like, what the fuck? What's wrong?
Well, if you
I'm
really
scrolling
dig
through this
into
stupid
it-
thing. It doesn't even like flag the line that's bad. It just
Yeah.
error. Cool.
Yeah.
I think meaningful
Yeah.
error text is a good secure development practice, isn't it, Crow?
It is. It is useful error messages.
Well, I'll look into it. But yeah, that's the GitHub super linter, if I may add.
GitHub suboptimal linter.
Yeah, but and then we also had a question, Crow, in section 2. Glenn and I have been calculating ops hours. Is that useful or is that not useful? Because the ops people were proposing being full-time employees.
If
Because
you do, like,
let me say
if you
this,
do
we're really
just do a big
lopsided.
swag saying this will
What?
be 300 hours from the ops team or whatever.
Does it matter that we're really lopsided because we have way more hours than we really have people?
No.
Okay.
We'll find volunteers. But the main goal is I want to express to the governing board sponsors that these efforts, while we may not be hiring someone, are not free. And we think we require this many volunteer hours to assist to make this successful. Gee, I wish the governing board could help us find some more volunteers, please.
Okay. So should we maybe add volunteer hours there too? Because we don't have volunteer hours in our PR.
If it's relevant.
Okay.
You know, if you feel that, this is tasks for this ops team and you want to say this is kind of how many hours they're going to be, doing this, great. But that's a less important detail than, I need to hire a body, I need to buy a server, I need some
Okay.
volunteers.
No, the main reason why is because like when you go into the labs, like we were calculating the first set of labs and it's like 4,200 hours and something. And like, we're only asking for 3 developers in our ops team, which is only 6,000 hours. So like, yeah, like, so that's why we were like, these hours could vary. So we were kind of wondering if it was useful or if it's too distracting. Because if you do start adding up all the hours we have for ops team, it's very lopsided.
I mean, put it in there, and if we don't like it, I'll knack it before the final proposal.
Sounds
If
good.
it is distracting, it'd be
Okay.
nice to see. And I guess for the ops team, it would be useful metrics to track that if we get funded and we start doing this, so that they can understand how much new work they can take on in the future, or how many labs per engineer, however you want to measure yourselves.
Right. Fair. Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll
I
leave
like
it in
looking
there.
at data.
It's always good to
Yeah.
have more data at the beginning. We can trim out stuff you don't want to,
Yeah.
raise it to the next level.
Well, I was just thinking that if somebody were to actually add up all the ops hours, it would be like you guys are what? Like, yeah, that doesn't make sense. But Yeah.
We'll leave it as it is. And again, if it's not useful, we'll trim it out in the edit.
sounds
We'll
good.
get it in post.
Sounds good. Sounds good. We should have that finished up here today and through tomorrow. So yeah. And I'm sorry about the entanglement. We had a little bit of a hiccup there, but I tried to do my best to not untangle it.
Cool. Yeah, I was okay with it. Whenever you're ready, go ahead and push the button to update section 2. Whenever you guys are
Sounds good.
comfortable.
Sounds good.
All right. Anything else?
Well, there's a nice little issue for everyone to go vote on now.
Ooh.
I thought about it a little bit more and I've offered the Por qué no los dos option, which I think might be the best option. So, yeah, I think we're good.
All right.
So for tomorrow, I don't know who's gonna be on that call entirely. I know Glenn won't because Glenn's gonna actually enjoy a vacation day. But I
I
will.
have an all-day meeting with the governing board, so I
Yeah.
won't be able to attend.
Yeah, I was thinking that it was going to be really like because everyone's traveling back from Tahoe anyway. So, I think what we'll plan to do, I got the whole morning to go and sit and look over that, and I'll just let people know that we're doing that async. I'll provide any of my updates and just be like, all right, everyone, give me your feedback on this first draft. So we're like stamped and ready to go for Monday. Cool.
Thank you, Sal.
Do you need me there, Saul, or no, for tomorrow? Or you have my updates?
If you're on Slack, as long as I can just
I'm
like reach out to you.
I'm always on Slack.
Ooh, but you're in America time, aren't you?
Yeah, but I sleep 3 hours a day, so
Yeah, okay, cool. Well, yeah, I'll reach out to you because you might still be asleep in my morning in the UK. But yeah, let's just async for that and I'll let everyone know on the stream. So I'll put it in the channel so everyone knows not to show up tomorrow.
sounds good.
But use those hours wisely and tell me what you think on GitHub.
Will do.
Cool.
All right. Thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate it and have a good rest of the day.
Sounds good. Bye.
Thanks.
All right. Bye, everybody.